Good morning. Okay, so the last thing we said is we have to understand why is it that when it comes to the Arabis, the Arabi Nachal, so we said the last thing we said is why is the Arabi Nachal, the willow branch, different than the other species? Why does the Torah's description of the Arava only apply to the species as a whole, but not the specific? As we said, that if the Arava is not from the Arabi Nachal, that's okay as well. So that's where we left off base. In Gemara's front of the Omar as the din, as Eichan Arava was his gewachsen b'midbar b'harim is kosher. Let them know from them was the state Arvei Nachal, Arvei Roshnabim. Was his marba Eichan Arava was waxed by not by a Nachal. Now in the Gemara, the Gemara's Shuk over there brings an opinion according to which this halacha that a willow, the Arava, that grows either in the wilderness or in a place like in mountains, it's kosher. We learn it now from this that the Torah uses the expression Arvei Nachal, willow, brook willows, Lashon Abin, plural, which implies that the willow, even if it does not grow by a Nachal, by a brook, it's also okay. So the Rebbe says of this, Amar of them was Hog Gufa is there's beer. My time was with the dry minim is Torah Makbid as the Prat Hanilkach, but Peos will haben the Simonim, and by Arvei Nachal is genug as is from the minim Bechlal. So in addition to the fact, the side that we're asking before, why regarding the first three species, would the Torah be so particular that the specific items being used has to have what the Torah describes, but regarding the Arava, it's enough, the general species, even if it does not grow by a Nachal. It's little what is understood. From Lashon HaRambam, like in Pirush for Rambam Mefarshim, also Glarach is Mashma, as man darf nicht haben, Aribim Yechut zu Marbe sein, an Arava, was ist gewachsen beim Midbar Baharim, and Meves ist von Mashmois HaKosov. The Torah ruft sie mit dem Namen Arvei Nachal, where Reiv min Zeh Godel al Nachalim. Reichen Arava, was man nimmt von dem Miut, was wagt beim Midbar Baharim is kosher. If you look in the wording of the Rambam, according to Muslim Mefarshim, and by the Shulchan Aruch, it implies that really the additional learning of the Arvei Nachal, like this Arvei Nachal, Lashon Abim, it's really not necessary. Torah says Arvei Nachal. Why? Why does the Torah say Arvei Nachal? Because the majority of the Arabis grow near brooks. However, the minority of Arabis that grow in the wilderness is also fit. As men can go nicht sagen, as late in the Rambam, wird der Din abgeleitet von dem Ribei Arvi, weil dem Ribei darf man oif zu aufbauen, as man darf nehmen zwei Arabis. Now, the Mefarshim will explain, you cannot say that the Rambam learns it out from Lashon Abin and Arvei Nachal, because we need to teach us that you need at least two Arabis that have to be taken. According to the opinion of the Rambam, Adam Jogan, Lashon Arvei Nachal, let the Torah was Nachal, nor wegen dem Shem Amin Bechlal. Und nicht wegen die Arabis, but the Velchem is Mekayim, the Mitzvah Bepeil. So according to the Rambam, it comes out that the Arabis, the Torah, identifies by only the name of the species in general, and does not describe the specific branches to be used for the mitzvah in practice. So the Rebbe says, nicht verstanden, in Nolan, in my time, Melechalik, Besonim HaTorah, as die Dalen minim zwischen die erste drei und die Arabis. So on what grounds do we differentiate between each of the Torah's descriptions by the Dalen minim, between the first three and the last one? Gimel. What Shen Geret Kama Fa'amim, we spoke about many times, as seinen Faran, Kama Yodim in Torah, was the Derech HaPshat, was the Derech HaNigla, sein nicht glattig, was a very verständlich legamri, aber wir darf geleit derech hadrash, or dush, haremez v'asid, b'frad al-pi, habim p'nim satera. We've spoken about many times that there are several concepts in Torah that are not smooth in the Likkutei when one learns it according to Pshat. And you could really only understand this if you go through the lens of Drash, Remesh, and Seid, and in particular in Chassidus of Torah, Primis Torah. As Rashi says several times in Torah, Rashi says, this pasuk says nothing but expound me. The only way to really understand this is that the way that really the Medrash explains the famous thing everyone knows about the Dal Minim. And what is that? The Medrash that the Dal Minim are not remes of the fear sugan for Yidden. And Esther was Yish B'tam Yish B'diak and Ramas of Yidden was Yish B'am Terev Yish B'am Eisen Tevin. Kabes Moram B'lo Vasat Tomer Yish B'tam Yish B'diak and Ramas of the Yidden was Yish B'am Terev and B'am Eisen Tevin. Had the Yish B'am B'diak and B'tam Ramas of Yidden was Yish B'am Eisen Tevin and B'am Terev. When a Rav was B'am Tam B'diak as our Ramas of B'ni Adam She'em B'am Terev B'am Eisen Tevin. So everyone knows this Medrash that the four species refer to the four categories of a yid. The esrog has both taste and smell, fragrance, that symbolizes a yid who has teda and mitzvahs. A yid who, a lulav, to date has taste, no smell, that symbolizes a person who has teda. He has taste of teda, but he doesn't have smell, he doesn't have mitzvahs. And then you have the hadas, which has a good smell but no taste. That symbolizes an Yid who has a lot of mice and tev, but no teda. And then you have the Arava, which has no taste, no fragrance, which symbolizes a person has neither teda nor good deeds. The mitzvah from the Netilas Dal Miriam is in Yonah, Yukshu Kula Maguda Achas, alle Versuchen Wien werden verbunden Baguda Achas. So what's the mitzvah? The mitzvah is to take all four species, bind them together in a single bundle, and that, in other words, that all Yidden should be connected. Some days it comes out, so it comes out that there emerges a very big difference between the first three species and the willow. The erste drei minim sugim in Yidden are gleich zelze und millas eich. The erste achtes beside them was they alle farmogen meiles gluyes. Mizet zei bepeil. Kipiska ma yedua. A ganer is nicht der, was ken garvenen, nor der, was ganvet. Und a lamdem is nicht der, was ken lernen, nor der, was lernt bepeil. Alachas kam bekama, as the mile of meisten tevim, is kiteichen na poshet, shai darf gewen mit tutem mahot meisten tevim bepeil. Now, the first three species, which are the first three types of Yidden, they all have some similarity. They all possess revealed milas, revealed virtues. In other words, virtues that you can actually, they're visible, you can see. And as the famous saying is, a thief is not someone who can steal, but a thief is someone who actually does steal. A Talmud Chacham, a scholar, is not somebody who knows how to learn. A lamdim is somebody who actually learns a pale. So this applies even in the greater virtue of Ma'aseh Tevim. This term specifically applies when the person actually does good deeds. Now, so that's all. So all the first three, they have some common denominator because they do have some revealed virtue that one can see, and they're actually doing it. Either they have both or they have one. Schenken the other, was eben bei terrible meisten Tevim is the Sachtes would say der Far was is an Yidden. Was das ist am Meile Pnimis wa Asmis, was ist verraten bei jeden einem, was ist Miser Avram Yitzchak Yaakov. Euch wenn bepeils ein beim Leute, die meisten Tevim, when I feel like nicht mit benakum, und weiß gar nicht, as is a Yid. However, when it comes to the Arava, a Yid who doesn't have neither Teda nor meisten Tevim, so the unity of this type of Yid is a result of each of them being a Yid. In other words, the fact that they are children of Avram Yitzchak Yaakov, and this is basically a very concealed virtue. Even in practice, they have neither Teda nor Ma'aseh Tevim. And even if they grew up like a Tinnik Shenishman, it's strange, and they have no clue that they are a Yid. with their fire, red nishtashel ba'alocha bepel, as the simoni hateda for the erste 3 minim darfen sein begole by the mitzvachim is mekayim mitzvah bepel. Mashegim ba'arava, safilo eib, the pratistik arava, is nit kevox beim Nachal, as a tinish in Israel, min akum, eib nor, as from the mir arvi Nachal, stammt von der Grab Litzov Yaakov, ist es an Arava Kshir Lekayim Mitzvah. Und durch dem Jukstru mit ihr von die andere Gimel Minim, wären sie a Teil von Minim, Mekayim Mitzvah Stal Minim. So the Rebbe says very beautifully now. Now we can appreciate how this evolves in practical halacha, that when the Torah describes the first 3 species that must be exhibited plainly in the particular species taken by the actual mitzvah. However, when it comes to the willow, it's perfectly acceptable, even if the willow branch for the mitzvah did not grow by the banks of the brook. In other words, he grew up tinik jinishba. As long as the min, or as long as the branch belongs to the general species of Arvi Nachal, in other words, in Avodah, or in like Chassidus says, he comes from the Avram Mitzvah, he comes from Avram Mitzvah Yaakov, he's a Yid, it can be used for a mitzvah. And by bounding them together with the other species, the Arava now becomes part of the 4th species. And he's Mekayim, and he becomes part of the general picture of Klal Yisrael. Whereas Dafke seinen sehr Namen, also die Kronen behem Lashon HaKiddush, Arava is dieselbe Esis von V'arva L'Hashem Nitches Yudah. Now, if you look at the word Arava, which Lashon HaKiddush shares the same letters as V'arva. As the pasuk says, the offering of Yehuda for Arva shall be pleasant to Hashem. You see that they have the same midas and the same pleasantness by the Rebbeinu Shalom. That's a question that many times is asked in Nigla, and really the only way to answer it is with Chassidus. Okay, Dalit. We have now a very clear lesson. Zum allen Menschen darf man wissen, als man muss sich verbinden mit jedem Jeden, auch viele mit Anoshim Schutim. Weil die zu Mekayim sein mit diesen Dal Minim, muss man haben alle 4 Minim. So first and foremost, we have to know that we have to connect with every Yid, even a simple Yid. After all, the only way to perform the mitzvah is by taking a member of each species. Yeshem wie men kennet Yid sein die mitzvah on an esrig, or the lulav oder hadas, as they can nit Mekayim sein die mitzvah on a Rabbis and Anoshim Shutim. So just as we can only fill the mitzvah by including a esrig and lulav, so it's or hadas, so too we can only fill the mitzvah by including the arava, in other words, the simple people. V'adram on the contrary, we ball as the pshitus. From Anoshim Shutim Davke is verbunden mit pshitus atzmus. Und der ist es Davke durch dem, was verbindet sich mit Anoshim Shutim, verbindet sich mit pshitus atzmus. So, since the simplicity of simple people is connected with the simplicity of Atmos, it follows that only by binding ourselves with simple people can we connect with the simplicity of Atmos. Dazu kommt zu Iran. Now comes the lesson. As Hasidic Ikri in dem Eifern verbindet sich mit der erste Darstellung von jedem other but that each pashat. Now, there's a key difference in the way we connect ourselves together with the first 3 times of Yidin and with a simple person. Hier was eine Schale zum Maßglühes, Tede meisten Tefen, davon sie haben, Tede meisten Tefen befehlen mamisch. Es ist nicht genug, was mir stammt von einer Sprache, von dem, also was man hat sich verstimmt in einer Yeshiva, oder viele was, mit der Weile früher gelernt Tede. Muss haben jetzt dem Tam, dem Limit Tede befehlen, was dann sind meisten Tefen. So first of all, people with the potential of possessing either both or one, they have to possess they have to actually learn and do Ma'asim Tevim. The fact that a person stems from Yichos or lineage or Talmidei Chachamim, it's not enough. Or he was once enrolled in the yeshiva a long time ago. He has to presently have the taste, the study of Torah in actuality. The same is true with Ma'asim Tevim. Aber bei Mekanim sind nicht Pashut, darf man nicht stellen Tnaim früher Torah mit keinem Ma'asim Tevim, als viele der Tnaias früher soll füllen sich wie Aiden. However, when it comes to bring a simple Yid close, you don't have to make these preconditions that he has to first learn Torah and perform mitzvahs, or even the precondition that he must feel like a Yid. Bother is there's Yisrael, darf man zum allem erstens verbinden mit ihm. Aber das Yisrael, der Farbe says a Yid, Vadra be'eber fehlt nicht. Das nicht, is der Rachmana said, im gor agrese, or Rachmim Rabbim, break aber Rabba. So, when it comes to like we said, the simple person, since he's a Yid, you have to first and foremost bind together with him because of obviously so, just because they're Jewish. Now, on the contrary, if they are not touched with their Jewish identity, we should have more Rahmanas in them, and great compassion brings great love. Und das Evas Abrius wird bringen im Korma Tedam. Save, but the Makarav sein Ufe ben die Brius Teda, wie sie will sein in der Dage von Yeshbetam Yeshbedech. And having Abbas Yisrael will lead to Abbas Teda, bring them close to Teda, and time will draw these people closer and uplift them to the world of Teda, and ultimately they themselves will be at the level of Yeshbetam Yeshbedech. Hey, the beer in light, they are now Siv Aleph, as Kabbash Tamarim is Atnai Likuva in Lulav, is much coming from Adekel She'esit Tamarim. Now, this explanation that we said based on Siv Aleph, that the Lulav is like we said from the Nogachaber, it's like a non-negotiable condition to the Lulav, that the Lulav has to come from an actual palm tree that actually produces dates. So, this is an upper Farada Deis, as if Kabbash Tamarim is by the Shema Min Bechla, Punkt, Yari Nachal, when Adekel She'esit Tamarim is kosher Lulav. However, there are some authorities that maintain that the lulav only serves to describe the general species, just like arava. But let's say an arava that does not produce dates, this lulav that comes from a tree, a date tree, but it doesn't actually bring dates, is also kosher lulav. The Rebbe says, Vishlemer bir achilik zwischen die Simone Ateda, oif esrig v'hadas and lulav arava is leti days. The Rebbe says you can say an explanation for the distinction between the description that the Torah gives for the esrog and the hadas and the lulav and the arava, according to these opinions. The tilas dalad minim is doch from the mitzvahs maisis. Und sie gufa hachi nailis b'yeser, und sie davon uftan achtas beschlemus von alles sugya Torah, wie der achtas von die vier esis von Shema Miuche Shema Vaya. Now, the distinction between is as follows. The mitzvah of taking a dal minim is an action mitzvah, and it's a very high mitzvah. What does that mean? It brings the complete unity of all Yidden, mirroring the unity of the Shema Vaya of the Eibishter. The Yud Kei Vav Kei. Edo Zatmin as is Ma'akiv. V'azay can vary the mitzvahs from the mitzvah maisis, and it's two in them azayna was Abraham Maisim David. And here we say that it's imperative that the action mitzvah that include those who do not have good deeds. Nitnar as in zay, where ufkut an aktas v'yichud durch den kima mitzvah b'lashan medish dog gufa b'nidin dan b'chapne elal elu. In other words, these two, we say that these two species lacking Ma'asim Tevim are joined together with the other two species only for the benefit gained in them. In other words, the unity through the mitzvah they perform. In other words, as the Medrash says, they are mechaber, they atone one another. We say even more so. They're tzirev and uftan mitzias amitzas maisis, Of course, then a little bit was by Pona Duma, as es darf sein nicht eine Iron, weil in Katigen as es a. In fact, as you see that the inclusion in the makeup of the action has to be done by the four species, and this is like we see by the Pona Duma, the iron cannot be involved in this. As we know, the prosecutor cannot become the defense lawyer. In other words, when Muslim sagen, as by Lulav Arava, Tun Haif Mitzias Amitza durch sehr Etzem. Seine Bnei Avram, was ist stärker, wenn wird es Gala durch den Zidde with the Kisha zusammen mit dem Esser with the Hadassah mit Vimaisen. So therefore, you must say that both types, the Lulav and the Esser and the Arava, they contribute to the makeup of the mitzvah by way of their essence. In other words, by being children of Avram, which is more powerful when it's brought to the surface when being combined and taken together with the Esrig and Esrig and Hadas, then Maisim Tevim. Then be Maisim. Shlemer Dugmasai, Al Capone means there, but again, Lulav was Aval Pekin, that for Haben Teda. Sruma wird gegeben nur Lekain, while is Bnei Shel Aaron, Alpha became Zokman, as a darf haben Maas HaTeda by Nesin Truma Lekain, Amoras Kilo Nesla. Now, there's an illustration to this, or at least some resemblance of this requirement of a lulav to possess the virtue of Teda. Truma is given exclusively to a Kohen. Why? Because he comes from Aaron. Nevertheless, we're told that a Kohen has to possess the virtue of Teda. Otherwise, giving a Truma to a Kohen who is Amoritz is considered the Gemara says, it's very risky. It's like it says, the Gemara Sanhedrin says, if you place Truma in front of a lion, because an Amoritz may or may not know how to protect the Truma from becoming tummy. So you see that you have to have basically both. You have to have both together. Like the beer kommt da reis nach an Indien, as is da aggress the chiddush in the tzir of a lulav gabe dem tzir from the aros. Based on this, comes out that including the lulav in the dal minim is a greater chiddush than including the arov. What does that mean? Vishish bei teda velchahot nit kein meisen tevim is thus that there nit haben meisen tevim feel erger wie bei Amoritz. Amoritz weiß nicht besser. Schenke der Talmud Chacham hat den Talmud and after became, then maybe they did Meise. Now, a person who studies Torah but doesn't have Meisen Tevim, his lack of Meisen Tevim is like worse than Amoritz. Because in Amoritz you can excuse him that he doesn't know better. Schenke der Talmud Chacham, who does know better, yet Torah knowledge that he has doesn't lead him to actually doing good things. That of Maimer Chazal, as Talmid Chachamim, Shkog is Naslam Kisdenis. So the Gemara says that the Averis that they do B'Shegi is considered as B'Mezit, as Denis. So then, hat man noch as the Chiyah for verbunden sich mit jedem Jeden Yiksha Kula Maguda Achas is nicht nur mit die, was bin hier sehe, es ist Pikor Namish Beruchas und Amish Amoritz, für Tilik Shenish Beben Akum, als Sache, was haben, Kemel versucht, dem Tam von Yiddishkeit. So the Rebbe says that this whole thing of bringing everyone together, it's not only for the Tineke Shenishbo, the Freie Yidden. Now, Filo einer was weiß ja, und von deswegen ist nicht Mekayim, darf man sich abgeben und sich verbinden mit ihm, Yukshu Kula Guda Achas, und noch mehr, man muss ihm haben lassen mit Siyam Sizzle Kaimer. He says the Ira, even to those who possess this knowledge but do not fulfill what they learn. Now we have to connect with them. We have to bring and bound them together in a single bound. Furthermore, to make up lists to fulfill, they must be included. Und durch dem, was alles suchen von ihnen, werden es Sachen zusammen. Wird aufgetan, wie Medisch führt euch, ein Mechaper, ein Quell, dem Teil für Gapor, das Chaper, von Hashem, die ist nachgesorgt auf Keli. Uniting with every type of Yid gives rise to the state, as the Medrash says, they will atone one another. This includes, meaning the atonement before Hashem, so he will bring his creator gratification. Is as thus peilt an ilay flamala kivyocham akasrogan and misala, and thus break that up. The golam is vashlema, the English on the golam ashu kula godachas. Ultimately, this will generate great benefit above. Hashem said, I will ascend and turn. You will lead to the Mashiach for the Jewish nation will only be redeemed when everyone is united.